Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My dear brothers, elders, sisters, thank you very much for coming here tonight. As Sheikh always mentioned, it's the best place to be on a Friday night. Where else would you be? Except maybe the chai shop, but even there's too much fitna around there nowadays as well. But today, as you know guys, I'd like to discuss more about character and how we can, on the topic of rewiring the brain, how we can bring good character and good attributes into ourselves. Last week we've spoken about gratefulness, we've spoken about fulfilling promises, we've spoken about speaking with kindness, we've spoken about many different things, which we'll expand upon. Is why I'm focusing on this topic next week, inshallah. But today I want to touch on something. It's called about helping those, but you have to find those to help. Yeah, because a lot of people, they need help but they don't come, they don't ask for it. So Allah says in the Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 273, is help those in need by finding them. So like I said, not everyone is who is struggling asks for help. Many people do it very silently. It could be because they're shy, because they're very proud, they don't like asking for help, or because they don't want to sacrifice their dignity. But Allah teaches us many times. He said, don't wait, go and find them. This is what's important. Find those in need. And the Prophet ﷺ says, the one who looks after a widow or a poor person is like one who strives in the path of Allah. And he says, the merciful are shown mercy by the most merciful. So be merciful to those on earth, and the one above the heavens will be merciful to you. How can we expect mercy when we don't give it to others? It's very important we try our best. And I've got two stories here. One is about the needy coming to you, and the other one is about you going to the needy. So the first story is of Hazrat Ali radiallahu anhu and Fatimah radiallahu anha. So they lived very simple lives, the lives of the Sahaba, especially at that time. There was no riches, especially at the very hard life they lived. Often they had very little food at home. Then one day, a poor person came to the door. But this wasn't any normal day, this was the day they were fasting. And they had very little food, only to break their fast. The poor person was asking for it, they gave it away. That evening they went hungry, they fasted the next day, nothing for suhoor either. The next day, getting ready for their salah, breaking their fast, their iftar, another person comes to the door. This time it's an orphan. What do? They give it away. Second day in a row, they haven't eaten. Day 3 comes, nothing for suhoor. What happens? Another person comes to the door, this time a captive. Needs food, needs help. They give it away again. 3 days in a row. Imagine fasting all day. We can't think of anything all day except for food. When I was young, Ramadan was the time to read the cookery books. Too many pictures. Just look and read. Imagine at the time, they didn't even have anything. Nothing like we have today where we get to choose what we want. But they still gave it away. And because of this, and because this is the only meal they had and they gave it away, Allah revealed the verses here in Surah Al-Insan. He says, they give food in spite of love of it, to the needy, the orphan and the captive. And saying, we feed you only for the sake of Allah. This is very important. They don't do it just because they see someone in need and they say, okay, he needs more. For the sake of Allah. And Allah takes away the hunger. And it says, we desire from you neither reward nor thanks. Very important. Nowadays, I'm guilty of this. I'm driving on the road, I let someone go, they don't say thank you. I get very angry. Very angry. I say, why don't you say thank you? I'm expecting thanks for something so simple. Imagine going hungry. Imagine how much thanks we want for it. But for the sake of Allah, if we do it for the sake of Allah, then we will get rewards in other ways. The second story which I mentioned, this is from the story of Hazrat Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. Yes, the second Khalifa. And as Khalifa, he made it strict upon himself that he should look after everyone in his lands, in his community, everyone that he commanded and looked after. And one night he used to go into the desert looking for people in need. You might know this story. But he sees a fire, really far in the distance. He approaches very quietly and he sees a mother and some children. They were the mother had some water stirring on the fire, and the children were very upset. They were crying, and he could see, he said from far away, that she was only boiling water. She had no food, but the intention of this boiling water was to soothe the children so they can go to sleep, because she had no food. If you tell the kids there's no food, they're just going to cry and cry. So she tried to help out. His heart sunk on this. He said, I've got to do something. Not only am I the Khalifa of this area, but someone is in need. He went and he found the person in need. So what did he do? He went back to the stores of where he was staying, and he put a big sack of flour and food on his own back, very heavy sack. And one of his men next to him said, I will carry this sack for you. It is heavy. You're the Khalifa. Why would you carry such a thing and deliver this to the needy people? And he said, will you carry my sins for me on the day of judgment? Will you carry my sins for me on the day of judgment? Very stuff. This is the Khalifa we're saying, the king. Imagine the king coming to you and delivering you food. Not good. So what did he do? He went, he approached the people, he gave the food, but not just give the food and walk away and say, my deed is done, I've given my charity. He sat there, he cooked the food with his own hands, he fed the children with his own hands, he left plenty left behind, and then he left, but he didn't leave completely. He sat just on the edge, looking from afar, and he looked at the children. They went from being hungry and crying to having a smile on their face. I think they even started playing.
Yes.
And so they asked, why did you stay and look at the children? Why did you stay? He said, I wanted to leave them as I found them, except now, instead of them crying, they were smiling. This is his reward. He hasn't lost anything. He's gone out and he's done something. But the real lesson here is that leadership is not, and mercy is about feeling someone else's pain. Empathy. It's important to make sure that it's removed as much as possible. So what are some lessons for us, guys? You don't need to be wealthy to be generous. Giving is your time, your resources, your skills. In any situation you can. Sincerity counts for more than any fixed amount. Real kindness is being proactive, finding things to do. And acts of mercy don't have to include just food and money, but also kind words and smiles and listening to people's problems and trying to act on them. So I want to ask you guys from the audience, what are some things you can do in your local community that can help others if they're poor, if they're needy, if they're lonely? I'll give you a couple of examples and you can shout them out to me. You have to look around at your neighbours. Maybe it's your close neighbour, someone who's elderly, someone who's maybe a single parent who's struggling with food, who's struggling with finances. What else can we do, guys? Go on, shout anything. Yes, offering your support in any way you can. So during COVID, there was obviously a big drive of community members going out to supermarkets to do the shopping for them. Here in this own mosque we're sitting in today, see some of the people who are here at Jummah today, what they were doing downstairs? They were feeding the community. And I was seeing some of the people there, they looked very lonely. They're not Muslims. Maybe 20-30% of them were not Muslims. They were people from this community who just needed somewhere to sit, somewhere warm, some food. So that's what we can do. We can share food. We can share our resources. We can volunteer our time at food banks like downstairs, at soup kitchens, community goods and projects. We can start with small initiatives in our own community. Simple things like helping a neighbour. If someone is getting a little old and their hedges need trimming, trim the hedge for them, help them out. If they need to pick up some heavy stuff, pick it up for you. Offer the quiet support. Involve your family and friends. It's good for young people to get involved in these projects. And the last one here, guys, very important, is to be observant. So when you're going around your daily business, I talked a little bit about situational awareness. So being aware of what's around you, if it's danger, if it's someone who needs help, but staying observant of when someone needs help. Say you're on the underground, on the train, and one lady's got a pushchair, and she's lifting it like this with 2 children in it sometimes. You can help. Just lift it, say, do you want some help? I'll help you. You know, she'll be very thankful for you, and you'll feel good inside. You see something on the floor, this is in Islam, you see something on the floor which is in a danger, broken glass, a thorn, trip hazard, you should remove it out of the way. This is being proactive, finding people who need the help and picking it up. One time when I was young, There was an old lady at the bus stop. She was getting agitated. I said, everything okay? She said, oh, there's a banana skin on the floor. Someone might slip. I said, no, that's only in the cartoons. You don't see that on real days. No one slips on bananas. But she said, please pick it up for me. I said, okay, I'll pick it up for you. So these are the small things we can do. So important, guys. We have to look out for someone who needs help as much as possible in our community. Start with the people closest to us, our family members, our neighbours next door in front of us. And then we expand further from there, inshallah. So may Allah make us from the people who seek out for those in need. May Allah make us people who give sincerely, not seeking reward. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala show us mercy on the day when we need it most, inshallah. Jazakallah Shaykh.
MashaAllah. Jazakallah.
Just one shout out if you can. Tomorrow, inshallah, I've got this hat here. It says the outdoor Muslim. On the 27th, tomorrow, we are organising a Muslim group hike, which is near Watford in Chorleywood. It's only 9 kilometres, but for the young people and even the older people as well, it's mainly for men, and some young girls are allowed as well. And we encourage you to bring the people who are needy in your community, who are lonely, someone who's lost a partner, lost their parents, who's very lonely. Bring them together, and we can do it. There'll be a walk. We'll do our salah together. There'll be a few reminders, and enjoy the outdoors. Enjoy and remember the Allah's creation all around us, inshallah. So that's just a little plug there. I thought I might do that, inshallah. If you're interested, let me know, inshallah.
Inshallah, let him know he's here.